Today, I want to speak to you about one of the deepest challenges of our time, marriage and the growing shadow of divorce. In almost every culture, the family is called the foundation of society. And yet, modern statistics tell us that nearly half of marriages end in divorce. Why? Why is it that something we enter with such joy, with vows before God and man, often collapses under the weight of unmet expectations, wounds, and silence? Let us pause and ask, what is marriage? From the beginning, God declared in Genesis 2:24, "Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." Marriage is not simply a social contract, it is a covenant. A covenant is deeper than a promise. It is a union blessed by God, sealed with mutual love and sacrifice. Psychologists tell us that marriage creates the closest human bond, emotionally, physically, spiritually. This is why it is so fulfilling, but also why it is so painful when it breaks. But why is it so hard to stay married? Psychology gives us one answer. In marriage, we are more vulnerable than in any other relationship. We open our hearts, our weaknesses, our daily lives. No masks, no stage lights, just the raw, unfiltered self. And where there is openness, there is also risk. The person closest to us can wound us most deeply. That is why disagreements in marriage hurt more than any workplace conflict or friendship tension. The covenant magnifies both joy and pain. So what do we do when the wounds come? The Bible reminds us in Ephesians 4:32, "Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you." Forgiveness is not a feeling, it is a choice. Many couples think, "I don't feel love anymore, therefore our marriage must be over." But love is not only a feeling, love is also a decision. Feelings rise and fall, but covenant remains. Psychologists affirm this. Long-lasting marriages are not built on constant romance, but on commitment, forgiveness, and daily acts of service. Yes, there are seasons when affection feels cold, when passion fades. But remember, winter is not the death of a tree, it is preparation for spring. If we give up in winter, we never see the new blossoms God can bring. Some of you may ask, what if I am growing but my spouse is stuck? What if I read, learn, develop, and he or she remains the same? This is a common struggle, but hear this. Marriage is not a race where you must cross the finish line together at the same speed. It is a journey of patience. Sometimes one spouse carries the other for a season. Sometimes the stronger faith, the deeper wisdom is given not to leave the partner behind, but to gently lead them forward. Galatians 2:6 says, "Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ." Now, how do we save a marriage that feels like it is slipping away? First, return to communication. Many divorces begin not with shouting, but with silence. Couples stop talking, stop listening, stop sharing their inner world. Break that silence. Open your heart. Say, "This is how I feel, and I want us to heal." Second, invite God into the center of your marriage. Ecclesiastes 4:12 says, "A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. A marriage of 2 alone is fragile, but a marriage of 2 bound together with God is strong." Prayer, worship, and studying the Word together are not just religious rituals, they are lifelines that restore unity. And third, practice forgiveness daily. Marriage is the school of forgiveness. No one can stay married without it, not because your spouse is uniquely difficult, but because every human being is imperfect. We forgive not because they always deserve it, but because Christ forgave us when we did not deserve it. And let us not forget the seriousness of divorce. In Malachi 2:16, God says plainly, "I hate divorce." Why? Because divorce does not only separate husband and wife, it wounds children, it fractures communities, it breaks the image of covenant that reflects Christ and his bride. In Ephesians 5, Paul says marriage is a mystery that points to Christ's love for his bride, the church. Divorce is not just a personal decision, it is a spiritual rupture. But my friends, there is hope. Even in the darkest valley of marriage, God is able to breathe new life. I have seen couples on the brink of signing papers who now testify of a love deeper than their wedding day. How? By humility, by prayer, by counseling, by letting God heal what they could not fix on their own. So today, I urge you, don't get divorced before you have exhausted the path of grace. Don't walk away before you invite God to restore. Don't surrender to culture's easy exit when God is calling you to a higher covenant. Yes, there are cases of abuse or extreme harm where separation may be necessary for safety, but for the vast majority, divorce comes not from danger, but from disappointment. And disappointment can be healed. Disappointment can be redeemed. To the husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church, laying down his life for her. To the wives, honor your husband and respect the man God has placed beside you. And to both, forgive, communicate, pray, and remember the vow you made, not just to each other, but before God. Beloved, marriage is not easy, but it is holy. It is not always happy, but it is sacred. And if you hold on, if you fight with love and faith, you will not only save your marriage, you will discover a depth of joy and intimacy that only comes when love is tested and proven true. So I say again, don't get divorced. Invite God to heal your covenant and watch Him turn ashes into beauty, pain into testimony, and weakness into glory.